What is up everyone, welcome back to the channel and welcome back to another video about Battlefield 2042. In today's video we'll be covering a number of topics, but the main topic that everyone had been speaking about is the cancellation of Battlefield 2042. Of course, this is not necessarily a cancellation of the game will still run as we have seen with previous titles, but it has been officialized by the team at DICE, suggesting that anything beyond Season 7 won't be seeing any new content releases. So the development team will still be there, will still assist us with any sort of bugs and challenges of the game, but they will not be adding any more content, which is fairly disappointing, and I think somehow we were expecting it. And I have to say, when the community is still very upset with how the launch had been, you can't really change that. And we have seen this in my previous video where people are still very vocal about the disappointment of this game. So I'm just going to highlight some of the comments because this had definitely been making the headlines for everyone. But as the general manager of Battlefield had mentioned, their focus and resources are now put into the next game, which we don't know anything about, and we do hope to find out more in the next coming weeks or months. And definitely one of the things that they had been making a focus on, it's addressing the single player campaign and perhaps adding a story to the timeline. Now, this is probably going to be very similar to other franchise games that we are all familiar about, so we do hope this is not going to happen, but it's quite difficult to predict this given that some of the top creative marketing and creative directors had left the company or had been asked to leave simply because of some internal restructurings, and that's also in line with the news that had happened beginning of last year, which was the cancellation of the Battlefield Mobile. So it seems to be a trend. It seems to be a trend for EA to be making these decisions at the beginning of a year or just before the end of the financial year, which usually is in the end of April or beginning of May. Now, on other news, we are experiencing or expecting, let's say, a change in the multiplayer gaming community, which will be orchestrated by the ex-Battlefield man himself, that on March last year had announced that alongside a few other veterans in DICE and EA had created TTK Gaming. Now, we are probably expecting to see some news about this showcasted gaming experience later on this year, but for the time being, we have not received anything furthermore on this particular topic. But this also comes after a huge layoff of people by DICE in August last year. So this also begs the question if most of those people will be venturing to work on the best new thing, which is interesting, guys, because we have seen in the past years that newcomers are definitely taking the leading spot in games that they are kind of pushed and run by the community. And I think in the current climate where franchises are mainly looking at making the most of the bucks that we're paying for our games, I think a game that is driven by passion and community is probably gonna be well acclaimed by everyone. And we have seen this recently with other games that had been taking the first spot. Now, if you're going on the TTK's website, you'll be seeing a few job adverts, 12 in total, which suggests that they are probably working on something behind the curtains. So hopefully we'll be able to find out a bit more about this as it excites all of us in the gaming community. But again, going back to Battlefield, I think the next couple of months will be definitely interesting, and it will definitely be interesting to understand what is the game's direction. Given that some people from Activision have moved over to DICE, one begs the question, will Battlefield become one similar title as his competitor? Which, of course, it would be a shame to see, given that it had its own uniqueness in the market, so we'll probably want to keep that, or at least, see some improvements to it. But What do you guys think is going to happen with the game? What do you think is going to happen with the future of Battlefield? I would be very interested to see and hear your thoughts on this. So please do leave a comment down in the section below. And as always, guys, thanks so much for your support. It had meant a lot for the channel, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video soon.